Scene Daddy Interviews.
Welcome everyone to Scene Daddy Interviews. My name is Ian, and on the phone right now I have Joe from Sentiels. Joe, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. What's up?
Not too much, man. My life has been extremely boring, just listening to music and everything, which is obviously something I enjoy doing. But what about yourself? What have you been up to?
I've been good, man. We've just been home from tour, so
Yeah.
trying to work as much as possible, trying to make as much money before the next run. Just hanging out with my dog mostly. That's about it.
Hey, look, you get no complaints from there. So really, you're making sure that you've banked up enough money for when you go out again. Now, is that next tour, is that the one with Signs of the Swarm, Depth of Hatred, and then Brand of Sacrifice?
Yeah, that's our next one. That starts April 19th, actually right here in Jersey. So it's good because a lot of our tours usually don't start this close to home. So being able to go, only an hour away to start a tour it's very nice. But that
Yeah.
one's a longer one that goes to the Midwest, and we hit the Midwest over the summer. So we're excited to go back there for sure.
Oh, very cool. So now, do you consider anything in Jersey as kind of a hometown show?
Mostly, most of our guys are from I guess southern New Jersey. So Champs in Trenton is usually like a really like a hometown show for us, just
Ah,
because most of our friends do live down that way. So
mhm.
that's pretty much like a hometown show for us. But I mean, we have such a like a good following in New Jersey
Right.
that we draw pretty much anywhere in New Jersey. So anywhere pretty much feels like home when we play in New Jersey.
Oh, that's cool. All right. So now, going out on tour and everything, do you feel better having that date early on the tour, or would you prefer it to actually come back and have more of that hometown feel?
I would prefer it to be like the last day of tour because you want to go home so bad after the last day that having to drive so long, it kind of sucks. So
Right.
that would be nice having that like the last day of the tour, but doesn't matter. The
Yeah.
first day of tour being a hometown show is usually like gets the mood right for tour. So you usually have a better crowd for your hometown shows.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point. So then, with this tour itself, with these bands, how did that whole thing come together?
So we just got offered the tour. I would say like about 3-4 months ago, maybe we got offered the tour,
Okay.
and it's pretty much like you guys want to do this, and it's definitely like a different tour for us because the bands are more. I guess the bands are more deathcore.
Sure.
I guess if you want to say they're heavier than us. They're not really like the same band, so it's going to be interesting. I feel like we're going to be like a breath of fresh air for some people on this tour,
Yeah.
but
Right.
we got it pretty much. We just started working with Dan DeFonts at
Oh, okay.
Continental Booking,
Hmm.
and he books for Signs of the Swarm as well. So we kind of just, that helped a lot too with us getting on this tour because he works with a couple of the bands on the tour, I think. So being a new band on that roster, this is a good tour for us to, really get out there with the bands that they have on their roster
Hmm.
and kind of just, find our place amongst that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And now you can really showcase Unsound Recollections to everybody. I
Yeah.
kind of thought that was interesting that you got offered the tour really before, the EP was actually out.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting. But I do like that idea because you're pretty much, I would say, most likely in that progressive metal area, right?
Right. Yeah. That's a fitting label.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, to have you kind of in there with a bunch of deathcore bands will give people something different to listen to. When you go out on tour, do you prefer that? Do you like the idea of being a little different, or would you actually like to be on a tour with like Invent Animate and bands that would be in that progressive metal area?
Right. I mean, sometimes doing tours with other bands, that are different from you are good because you get to draw to different ears and you get to like have your music hit people that, might have not heard the record when it came out or
Yeah.
seen your music video or just heard you period because they're not really into your type of music. So being on a tour with those bands is like you're giving those people a chance to really hear you.
Yeah.
And that's why I think we like doing tours like that.
Mhm.
We've we've done tours where we really fit on it, where it's like, within the ruins we toured and we really fit on that tour, and
Sure.
their fans liked us and it really worked out for us. And then with Currents,
Oh yeah.
that was such a similar tour for us. Their fans really, really liked us. So it works out to where, like, if you tour with bands, like you said, that are like you, it helps out because it's like they already like your style of music. So the chances of them, actually liking you and you gaining fans on that tour are way better. But
Sure.
we'll pretty much do anything, right now in this point in our career or so
For
new.
sure. Yeah, yeah. And to that point a little bit too. So I looked it up. You've got two pretty big festivals coming up as well. You've got
Yeah, man.
So What, and then also Armstrong Metal Fest. And I had to remember that because I completely forgot about that. That's in Canada. So you're going to be playing
Yeah.
with a ton of different bands. Is there anything that you look forward to when you're going to a festival like that?
Just meeting up with friends and stuff.
Mhm.
Just mainly because, a lot of your buddies' bands are on tour too at the same time, so you don't get to see them.
Right.
But even so what? I mean, so many of our friends are actually playing that festival. So the whole day is pretty much just going to be hanging out with our buddies, and then getting to play is just going to be awesome. And then playing with all those bands is just phenomenal. I'm looking forward to SOA a lot. And then we haven't been to Canada yet.
Oh, okay.
So that Canada Fest is gonna be pretty awesome. It's a lot of different bands
A
on that.
lot of different bands, that's for sure. Now, I've been to So What before, and I really like it. I'm a huge fan of Texas, so add in, the barbecue, add in the people, like all that kind of stuff, the heat,
Yeah.
especially. I know you're from New Jersey. I'm doing the show out of Boston, so we don't get a whole lot of heat around here, but
Yeah.
I love Texas and that stuff. So I'm hoping you guys have a great showcase out there, because that is a place where you're going to hopefully, showcase your music to a lot of people that maybe haven't heard it yet.
Right. I'm excited. It's gonna be a lot. There's a lot of different bands on all those festivals, so
Yeah.
hopefully a lot of different ears.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let me transition a little bit. Obviously, I've mentioned Unsound Recollections, but I did want to make sure to congratulate you on it, because I
Thank you.
really enjoyed my multiple trips through the EP and everything. And I know for one thing, I think this is a good place to really start, is that you're actually the newest vocalist for the band, correct?
Yes. I've been in the band for like a little over a year, and it
Right.
hasn't even been 2 years yet.
That's crazy to think about, isn't it? That's like, so if I'm not mistaken, I think you put out Neurosis as your first track, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was sometime in 2017. And then you
Yep.
signed with Stay Sick in 2018, like the end of
Yeah.
2018, right? And then now,
Yeah.
when did Unsound come out? Was that February?
Yeah, it came out in February. We hit the studio to record it in March.
Okay.
Like last March.
Mhm.
Just to start recording it. So it's been done. We've had it and just waiting, for a while. But the record came out in February, and so far, like, just the reception of the whole record has been phenomenal.
Great.
Like, we couldn't have asked for a better, first week. We couldn't have asked for just a better anything with this record. When we went in and recorded it, it was kind of like, okay. And then for like the first, when we heard it back, we realized we had something special, and
Nice.
we were just hoping that, people would realize the same thing. And so far, so good, man. I have no complaints.
Hey, that is great to hear. Now, do you think, did a little bit of that have to do with Stay Sick? Because obviously you were probably shopping, everything around for a little while once you were done recording. Why'd you decide to go with Stay Sick?
So, funny story here. We originally had a offer from another label that we signed with. I'm not going to mention any names or
sure.
anything, but
Yeah.
we had another offer. We weren't even really shopping anything out. We got an offer, and we had signed with a label, and we had management and our booking and everything.
Mhm.
So we had got home from one tour we did. I don't remember. I think it was like the first Within the Ruins tour maybe we did in June.
Oh,
That was
okay.
in like the Midwest.
Yeah.
We got a call from our management, and they were like, look, like, Stasic wants you guys. They're going to do this. So Stasic ended up, purchasing our contract from the record label we were on. And then it was pretty much just go from there. Like, as soon as we got on to Stasic, It's been awesome. Like Stay Sick's been super phenomenal.
Good.
I can't even like, just the way they work for their bands and just like how they put on their bands and what they do for them is amazing. It's everything you'd want as a new band
Right.
because we weren't. This is all pretty new for us. Just
Mhm.
like a year ago, pretty much. We all say this a year ago that we were, pretty much just a local band, and we just hustled and got our stuff out there, and it all just like it seems all surreal to us still because it's like everything happens so fast
Yeah.
that and it's just crazy that everything is just now it's we were waiting and waiting and waiting and the record comes out and now it's just bam, it's just go time. So
Exactly. I don't know if I've heard of that. I mean, I'm sure it does happen on a relatively regular basis, but for a band's contract to be bought out without even putting out the new release yet,
yeah.
that's really interesting. Did they tell you any reason for that?
uh I don't really know how much of this I'm even supposed to be
Oh,
saying,
sure,
but
sure.
I know that Stay Sick, they really wanted us
Yeah.
over there,
Hmm.
and they kind of just, they had a certain plan for us in mind, and
Makes sense.
they were going to a certain extent to make that happen.
That's
So,
great.
we either or we would have been fine, I think, but with Stay Sick, I definitely think right now we're better off. We're definitely in better hands.
Yeah. And that's got to give you that big boost of confidence, I would think, as well, to know that
Yeah,
a label wanted you so badly to do something like that. So, yeah, I'm really glad it's working out right now. That's awesome.
yeah,
So, yeah, so let's talk a little bit then about, you being the quote unquote new guy in the band. Now, I know there had been some member changes before, right?
yeah. So they've been through a couple of drummers before Dave.
Hmm.
But Dave recorded drums on the EP World Divide, so
Right,
he's been
right,
on for a while.
right. Because that
Um,
was, what, was that 2016?
yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. I
Okay.
think
All right.
so.
Sorry, I'm
20
I'm good at dates.
26. I think so. I'm terrible with like years and stuff.
Oh, no, that's fine. I knew there had been some changes before. But yeah, what was your transition like? Like how did the band reach out to you to bring you in?
We've all been friends for like a few years now.
Hmm.
Because the band I was in before this was another local New Jersey band, and we played a lot of shows together.
Ah, okay.
So I got to meet the guys, I got to hang out with them, and I exchanged numbers with Dave, and me and Dave used to talk pretty often, and got to talking that their vocalist at the time was busy, his schedule just couldn't fit the band, and everything, and
Right.
at first, I just started filling in for them because I didn't want to leave my other band.
Ah, okay.
And then, my other band started slowing down. And as I was filling in for Sentinels, more like started picking up, started getting more shows.
Hmm.
I actually submitted like an audition for them, and they actually were like, "You just want to be in the band."
Ha. All
So
right.
I like learned everything for real,
Yeah.
and then we recorded Neurosis, and then now it's kind of I've just been in the band, so everything's been easy because
Oh,
we've
okay.
just been friends for so long. So
That's
this
great.
is probably the easiest. Like I've had to join bands before
Hmm.
where I've known like nobody,
Ah,
so
okay.
this is definitely the easiest transition I've had to make yet.
Yeah, that is great. Now, were some of the past bands that you were in, were they a similar style and genre or were they completely different?
Um, the last band I was in was kind of similar. Along the lines of like that progressive metal slash like gent, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
The last band I was in was kind of similar to that, and but the bands before that, I've always been in like metalcore bands or like deathcore bands or stuff.
Oh, okay.
So they've always been heavy. I can't sing or anything, so
That is what I was going to ask. If, all of a sudden on the next Sentinels release, are we going to get some clean vocals in there, anything like that? But I'm guessing not.
we our bassist can sing, and he
Hmm.
can sing very very well.
Ah, okay.
So that's an option, but I don't think so. I think we're gonna keep it the same way we've been going.
Right. If I'm not mistaken, when I looked it up, they do have it as Danny and Dave both also help out with vocals as well. Is that more for a live setting?
Um, Dave's voice is on Unsound Recollections. Like he has parts like throughout the record.
Okay.
Dave also helps with lyric writing as well.
Ah, okay.
So he's definitely like he's a big part of the vocal process.
Hmm.
I write parts specifically for him, or we're in the studio, and I'm like, oh, this part would sound good with Dave's voice on it. So,
Ah,
Dave's a big part of all the vocals. Um, Danny was on Idols. He sang the one part in our song "Trial and Error,"
okay.
but he
Gotcha.
doesn't really do vocals live or anything.
Right. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's what I wasn't exactly sure about. But that actually does kind of transition to something I definitely want to get into, which was especially with being newer to the band, and now it's your band, but being a little newer when you were originally writing this new EP, how was that process like? Were you thrown in there where you got to do really whatever you wanted lyrically, or did you go back and forth with Dave on that a lot?
Usually, the process with lyric writing for us, or since I've joined the band, is like I'll get the song going and
Hmm.
then I'll send it to Dave, or like I'll send it to the group chat and we'll all kind of look at it. But usually I send it to Dave and then, get the vibe for the flow, like the vibe for the song going,
Hmm.
and like tell him what I want. And usually me and Dave could write along like the same lines, and we could really go back and forth with the writing.
Okay.
For the most part, it's mostly for the most part it is mostly me, but I do like having Dave in that sense, because we're so like the way we hear parts in songs and the way like we write
Hmm.
is very similar. So it's easy for me to just, have an idea going, send him it, and
Yeah.
then expect results back that'll work. So
Oh, okay. All right. That sounds like a really good system. Do you already, at that point, do you have music done? So are you working off of music that's already been created, or is this
yeah.
just, oh, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm the last thing. Like usually the songs are completely done and
Yep.
then they're given to me. Or even if the guitars are done and they have like a rough drums over it, they'll give them to me and I can start. But so many changes go down from like when the song's first written to the end. I
Sure.
like to wait to have the final product before I
Ah,
start
okay.
writing anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, are you part of that process where, because obviously being progressive metal,
Mm.
a lot of the album, everything you guys do, it's a lot of technical guitar work. It's a lot of, breaking down in that sense. So, how does that normally get written? Are you part of that?
It's usually our guitarists, Chris and Thomas. They
Sure.
usually take care of, pretty much all the guitar writing. Chris, he'll write like most of the stuff, put it in the computer and send it to Thomas, and then Thomas will put his input on it, and then it'll go to Dave. But I'll sit down and I'm terrible. I don't even know like how to explain guitar parts to people, but if if I sit down and tell Chris like this part should go longer or this part should be more like this, he
Mhm.
kind of understands what I'm saying. So
Okay.
like he's able to transition it,
Yeah.
but I trust those guys enough to put out to write a good enough song to where my input really isn't needed as much. But
Gotcha.
I mean, I don't really. Usually, it's just like lyrically and the flow of everything is pretty much all I get to say.
I see. No, and that, I mean, it does make sense. It was just really a question of, where in that structure does everyone fit in? Because,
Yeah,
yeah, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, obviously you've worked with a lot of different styles of bands. When you're doing a writing process, especially with progressive metal,
yeah,
because there's such intricate guitar work, I'd imagine there's a different way how everyone's writing almost around that. Is that how it normally works?
yeah. You could say that. It's just, oh man, it's so crazy. Like breaking down how these guys write music. Like they're the most talented group of people I've worked with.
They're
So
very talented, yeah.
how their brains work with everything is absolutely amazing. They, it's everybody has their collective say in writing,
Hmm.
and everyone's a very good musician.
Yeah.
So when we all sit down together and we do have a say in whatever we write, I don't know, it's so hard to explain. We all do have a collective say. It's like it's just we're like when everything's done being written, it's like in the studio, especially for us this time around, it was like we had our stuff done in the studio and we
Mhm.
didn't really want to budge on a lot of parts, but our producer came in and he was like, this part should be this or this part
Ah,
should be this, and it did work out for the better. I feel like we're super stubborn in that sense, but I mean, I feel like a lot of musicians are in a sense where like you've worked so hard writing it, you don't want to change anything.
right, right.
But most of the writing is definitely done by the guitarist and everything, and then given to Dave.
Sure.
But everyone's got a pretty big say in what we do.
Okay. Yeah, and that's kind of where I was getting with that for sure. So
Yeah.
I don't want to put all the credit on guitarists and bass and drums because I'm a big fan of what you're doing as well. I think
Thank you.
it really brings everything together. So with you with a writing style yourself, are you writing lyrics all the time, or do you set a time aside and say, "Hey, I'm going to write for this music that I have now"? Or are you kind of free flowing?
I usually write when I get the material in front of me for the first time.
Okay.
Like the first time I hear the song, I'll put like a rough layer of, just give it an idea,
Mhm.
But I usually wait until basically the song's done to even start writing lyrics.
Oh, okay.
It's hard for me to just like, I like to, because before I even write, I like to sit down and figure out like a flow of where the words are going to go before I even do anything.
Sure.
So a lot of the time, especially for Unsound Recollections, I got caught writing, like even writing lyrics in the studio right
Ah,
there,
sure.
right. So it's usually like a last minute thing for me to write lyrics, which
Yeah.
isn't good in any way, but it's it's easier for me in a sense, I guess, because the song's done. I know where everything's gonna go. Putting words is, the last part, and it's for me. I don't know. It comes very easy to do that.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah,
Hey, that's great. I mean,
yeah.
obviously I've gone through the album a bunch and I'm a fan. I When I actually did a review for the album on a different show, what I focused on a lot was it's a very angry album. It's angry. It can be depressing depending on how you read the lyrics and how you get into it, but I like that a lot of times. Like I don't have to be in a certain mood to want to throw things around. So I'm a
That's
big
good.
fan of that. Yeah. But the question would be, do you have to get in a certain mindset to really express that anger? Do you have to be in a mindset to really put those lyrics down?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
If I'm not, I'm not just that dude 24/7 that's angry or
Sure.
depressed all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
So, for people that know me, for people that actually like hang around and like see me on a daily basis, I'm just a really laid back guy. Like I'm not like that at all.
Right.
So for me to even write or even play a live show, I have to really like, I call it meditating, but in a sense it's not really meditating because meditation is like, do you achieve peace?
Sure.
So it's
You're
like
doing the opposite.
I have to sit in quiet and like meditate to get in the state of mind to be like, okay, I have to be angry now. I have to go play a
Ah,
show.
okay.
So, or I have to write lyrics, or I have to get in the right mindset.
Right.
So, yeah, usually I like to be, you know, kind of quiet, like in a quiet room and
Mhm.
just by myself, kind of confined to everybody when I am writing because, I'm not really in a good mood when I am writing, so I don't like to
Ah,
take it out on anybody. So I like to like confine myself and just kind of just write.
interesting. All right. So then that writing process, when you're doing that, what do you use as inspiration then? Is it as little as, someone ran a stop sign in front of you? Are you looking at the entire world and the issues that are going on? What are you focusing on?
It's mainly like real life experiences
Mhm.
that I've gone through, or just people are going through in the world that I see every day, or just just how people like perceive people. A lot of it's to deal with, a lot of our stuff is dealing with your own mental health,
Sure.
uh,
Mhm.
and how I've gone through battles with mental illness, and you know, a lot of people in the world do battle mental illness,
Yep.
and it's pretty much, we all feel at one point, we all feel alone in a sense.
Right.
And, my music and my message and, just everything is to kind of say that, hey, you're not alone. Like, we've all been through it. I've gone through it, everybody has. So
Right.
that's my message. And Unsound Recollections, that was the thing, was like, Unsound Recollections is kind of like, just bad thoughts, just like bad memories, and
Right.
that was just getting your bad memories out and putting it out for people to see, just to know that, hey, like, if you're going through some shit, you're definitely not alone.
Right.
So that's a big thing, is just personal experiences, just for people to relate to,
Mhm.
that I know, like, if people, specifically the kids that listen to our music, or listening to our music for the first time, or even it's like a a grown ass man listening to our music for the
Sure.
first time. I want him to be like, damn, this is real.
Right.
Like not like I'm not writing about like dragons and stuff.
Right.
Even
Right.
though I did write about Game of Thrones in one song, but
Ah, okay.
that's that was one word. That was one line.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're looking for that almost instant connection based on relatability.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, when you actually sing these songs live, is that a cathartic experience for you? So you get angry
Mhm.
and then you go on stage. Are you the most peaceful person when you're done?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So people shouldn't be afraid to come up to you at the booth or anything.
Yeah, I mean, give me like 2 minutes to sip on a little bottle of water and go
Sure.
back to the merch table, and I'm fine. I'm 100% good.
Nice.
We we're all really really peaceful dudes in the band. We're
Oh, yeah.
all we're easy to talk to, every single one of us. We're angry on stage, but I promise we're not that angry off stage.
There you go. That's a good message for people as well. So, talking about your voice in general as well, obviously in Unsound Recollections, you are doing some really powerful lows. I think the big thing is you've got a lot of power behind what you're doing. At least that's what
Yeah.
I hear anyways. But
Yeah.
and I think that's really important because especially if you're going to put those vocals in the forefront of a lot of technical things in the background, it really emphasizes the point of what you're
Mhm.
going for. So my question to you is, when did you start being a vocalist and how did you have actual professional training? How did you find out you could do this? But you mentioned before you can't actually sing, but you're doing, you know what I mean? You're doing so well on this. How'd you find out that's what you could do?
So I was in 8th grade, actually. So I'm 29 now.
Okay.
But I was in 8th grade, so around that age.
Mhm.
And Avenged Sevenfold, Waking the Fallen came out.
Ah, yes.
And I picked it up and I was listening to it, listening to it, listening to it. And one day I was home alone. There was like nobody. I don't think anybody was home. I could be wrong. I
Sure.
don't know. But I was in the kitchen and I was making food and I was just like, I tried it and I
Yeah.
screamed to like one of the songs. I think it was, I don't even remember the song name, but it was like, I just started screaming and it hurt. And I was like, damn,
Ah.
all right, I shouldn't do that anymore because it really hurts.
Mhm.
And but like after that, I played drums at first. That was my first instrument.
okay.
So I was always in a band playing drums. But I was watching The Singer, and then I've always watched those like stupid videos on YouTube growing up, like how to scream.
Oh, sure, sure. Yeah, yeah.
I
I did
watched
too.
like a
I get it.
million different people like try and show me how to scream.
Right.
But one day it kind of just like it clicked.
Mhm.
Just like, oh, this is how you're supposed to do it, and it kind of sounded good. And every time I went to band practice, I would like get on the mic and like just scream something, do like a Kill Switch cover
Ah,
or
okay.
just something,
Yeah.
just like scream to that. And I realized around like I guess around the time I was like 18
Mhm.
that I really just wanted to be a vocalist.
Ah.
And I kicked the vocalist out of my first band, and I'm like, I'm doing vocals now. And from that, I've just done vocals in everything. Every band I've been in, I've just been vocals, vocals, vocals. But I blew my voice out when I was a senior in high school.
Ah.
I went to see Between the Buried and Me.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, they played Colors. It came out my senior year.
Yeah.
So they played Colors in full, and I
Nice.
went to go see them.
Mhm.
And I was kind of sick that night. I had like a sore throat. It was on Halloween, and I blew my voice out at that concert.
Ah.
And I had a show like that weekend. So I was like, damn, I got to figure something out. And then like somebody was like, oh, you got to check out Melissa Cross.
Ah,
And
sure.
I've watched like her DVD and like tutorials and like everything. So her DVD and everything has a big part in, just my voice and how to scream in general. Well, like having just how to figure yourself out and
Right.
how to be comfortable with what you do, because screaming is not an easy thing. And if
No.
you do it wrong, you're going to hurt yourself. Like
Exactly.
there's, there's no way around that.
Yeah.
Because even if you yell at like a sporting event or something, like you're coming out losing your voice. But for
Yep.
me to be able to scream for a half hour and then talk to somebody and still have my normal voice, I like that. I like not being able to like, oh my God, I don't have a voice.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
She's helped. She's big. She's like the best. I'd recommend her, not even going to her for a lesson, just getting her DVD or just anything and watching that it's so helpful.
I've only heard one band, one time, tell me that she's full of shit. That was only once. And then I've had so many bands on the shows that talk about Melissa Cross. So I've watched her DVDs too. I think it works, but there are people out there that don't. But obviously it is working for, I don't know, maybe 60, 70% of the bands out there for sure.
Yeah, you just have to be willing to learn and like willing to change how you do vocals because
Right.
some vocalists don't go to her for so long and you're already set doing your vocals a certain type of way. And it's not like she's trying to change how you sound. She's just trying to like help you not hurt
Exactly.
or help your voice for like the longevity of things. Because there's vocalists that go to her, like look at like Randy Blythe.
Yeah.
The guy's still doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
like,
for sure.
even the what's his name from Every Time I Die, like he's gone Melissa
Keith
Cross,
Buckley?
and
Yeah.
his voice, he puts his voice through more than anybody, and he's still doing it too. So
very true. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to go back to something real quick. So when you're making that transition from drumming to, screaming and doing unclean vocals, did you do that kind of combination at any point where you actually were doing the unclean vocals while playing drums?
yeah, like right before I switched, I started doing like backup parts like here and there. I started like little like layer vocals or anything, but that was hard. It was very hard playing drums and doing vocals. I don't know how Dave does it. So
okay, yeah,
Dave.
exactly. So that actually brought up something that I didn't ask before, and I definitely wanted to hit on. So when you guys are playing live, I'm assuming that you're going to really focus on unsound recollections, but do you play anything from Idols? Do you play anything from World Divide as well?
We've been playing songs off World Divide.
Okay.
We usually play Consequent Aversion, which was like one of the singles we released off that. It's got Jake from Reflections on it.
Right.
And sometimes we'll play Extinct by Instinct, which is also was another single off that record.
Okay.
So occasionally we'll like swap them in and out, but most of our set is Unsound Recollections.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, would you do the entire Unsound Recollections, front to back on one of your sets if you could?
If we could, absolutely. I mean, I know I'm down, and I know pretty much the whole band is down. It's
very cool.
I know we're still in the process of learning some parts, definitely off Unsound Recollections.
Sure.
But I think definitely by by July we'd be ready to probably play the whole record in full.
Oh, there you go.
I know on this upcoming tour with Signs of the Swarm, we're playing one of the songs off the record we haven't played yet. So we're pretty excited for that.
Very nice. Now, for that tour, for getting ready and everything, obviously you guys are working, you mentioned that at the beginning, but how much practice time goes into making sure that you guys are technically sound for a big tour like this?
Everybody practices on their own quite often.
Okay.
I know like Dave is always playing drums when he's home. We only usually practice, like we'll have practice like 2 weeks before we're supposed to leave. We'll practice like Friday and Saturday. And then the day before we're supposed to leave, we'll get like a couple of nights in.
Okay.
And then we'll just end up leaving. But it's usually because we're all so busy a lot and we all don't really live close to each other.
Sure.
It's usually a lot of us just practicing on our own, listening to the record over and over again, just making sure we're tight because we know we don't get practice time.
Right.
So it's pretty imperative that we practice on our own, or else it's going to be a slop.
For sure.
No one wants that.
Right. Well, since you guys don't live exactly close to each other, when you practice, you ever get on Skype and practice together, or is that just too much of a clusterfuck?
I don't even think we have enough time to do that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So usually we're all pretty busy. We all work different work schedules. So it's tough to meet up a lot.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. So we've got a couple things that I definitely want to close out on because I've really enjoyed this conversation. So I don't often do this, but I looked at what Stay Sick put out. It was a couple interviews and they were like short interviews. And I got to ask, just because I didn't really understand when I saw it, but can you tell me about the game Odds?
Oh my God.
I have to. I got to ask.
Okay. So Odds is a numbers game where it's between two people. So usually your friend will be like, what are the odds that you do this?
Okay.
Just whatever it could be. For example, in the video, the odds were we were at a show in Colorado on a day off.
Mhm.
We went and saw like Fit for an Autopsy.
Right.
They were on tour with Unearth and all that. So we were in Colorado. We had a day off, and the local band just finished playing. And my dog's about to go crazy. Somebody's about to get home, so I'm just like walking across the house really quick.
Sure. No problem.
Our guitarist was like, "What are the odds you buy a T-shirt from this local band?"
Right.
And it was like in the middle of tour. We were all kind of broke at that point.
Sure.
So we decided that the odds would be high. So the odds were like he's like 75 or something like that.
Sure.
And they both said 62. So Chris had to either buy the shirt or take the 5-star. So like if you don't want to do the odds that are given to you,
yep,
you have to take like a 5-star, which is like a slap to the back or stomach.
Sure.
Either one.
Right. Yeah.
So Chris took the slap.
Okay.
But usually odds is a cruel game to play amongst your friends.
It sounds it very. It really does.
It's usually like something you definitely don't want to do.
Right.
And you know, it's like, what are the odds you're going to do it? And then if you say the same number as that person, you bet your ass you're doing that.
Wow.
So
that is really interesting. All right.
I've had to lick a window in and out. Like it's gross.
That is really gross. Wow. Okay. I don't know why I would miss it, but I missed the point of guessing what the odds were. So you make the range either shorter or larger depending on how much you can't do something or don't want to do something. And then
So if I were to tell you right now, like, what are the odds you'll just go streaking? Like, you'll get up, get naked, run outside and go streaking. What are the odds you would do that?
So you would have to say something like, if I'm definitely don't want to do that, then I would say the odds are 0 to 100 or something.
Yeah, you would say like just like quick. So like I'd be like, what are the odds you're going to go streaking? And you definitely don't want to do that. So you say 100.
Okay.
So somebody else would count down, like, or one of us would count down like 3, 2, 1, and then we both say a number. And if we both say the same number, you got to go outside and you got to streak.
Or you're taking a 5-star.
Or if you don't want to do that, you take a 5-star.
Okay. Got it. So yeah, this sounds like a horrible game.
I've met many different people with many different rules to odds. Those are my rules.
Wow. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You were the first band that brought that up. I've never heard anyone talk about it before. I would imagine at least the people that aren't playing odds that are in the band are probably laughing their ass off and having a lot of fun, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It was also like the most G-rated thing I think we could say for that interview.
Oh, for sure. I'm sure there were
odds. Because, I mean, it was just like, what's your most memory on tour? And it's not like the easiest thing to be like, oh, this happened.
Sure.
And it's not really like something you want everyone hearing.
Exactly.
So
no, that totally makes sense. I think people will find that very interesting for sure. So we're going to wrap things up in a little bit. And I just wanted to ask you for the new EP, for Unsound Recollections, was there anything that you guys were really looking to put out there? Was there anything that you really wanted to showcase, whether it was some vocal that you really worked hard on, some, part on guitar? Was there anything that you guys really wanted to put out there besides obviously a really, really good album?
Mainly I say it's just the message to get out there. That was our biggest thing. It's also the first time we recorded live drums. So I'm sure for Dave, in a big sense, that was huge for him, being able to actually play drums on the record.
Very cool. That
was probably huge. And I'd say as a collective, it was pretty much just to get our message out there, just to, like I was explaining before with the lyrics and just the wording and just our overall sound is, we want to, still say, you could be different and you could be a different band amongst right now, everybody's band or music coming up, a lot of it sounds the same.
Sure.
And it's like, it's our thing. Like, you could still play what you want and you could still sound different and you could still do whatever those bands are doing. And, it's just the message is to like work hard and grind and get your, do what you want to do and don't let anybody try to, change you or, try to say, you have to sound like this to make it this far because, it's not true. If you love what you do and you work hard enough, you can go as far as you want. So
very nice. All right, Joe, I thought that was a really great message to end on. So I just want you to know for sure that we are going to have links in the description of the episode so that people can follow Sentinels, so that they can go catch you guys live on your upcoming tours, and then hopefully also pick up Unsound Recollections out on Stay Sick, because I've really enjoyed all my times going through that, and I know a lot of people have as well. So hopefully more people will hear it, they'll go see you on tour, and really, I think that's what you want anyway. So, Joe, once again, thank you so much. This was great.
Thank you for having me, man. It's been a pleasure.
You've been listening to Scene Daddy Interviews.
Thank you all for listening to Scene Daddy Interviews. Make sure you support the artists we featured by checking out the summary of the episode. Also, for all your scene news, reviews, and memes, make sure to follow Scene Daddy and Ian Hates on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe and rate Scene Daddy Interviews on your favorite podcast listening app for more great artist interviews in the future. Stay seen.